So far this year, I now have already seen 2 films set at the Maha Kumbh, and there are 2 more that I know were shot there and will be available at any point. I suppose this was to be expected, right? It was such a huge event. Somebody will go and shoot films there. So turns out there are many. Hey all, my name is Sucharita. Welcome back to my channel, where we are continuing our coverage from the Toronto International Film Festival 2025. Today we're talking about Jitan Singh Gurjar's Vimukt, also called In the Search for the Sky. Shot in 11 days, a lot of it guerrilla style, Vimukt is a Braj language indie. The film is produced under the Summit Studios banner, which is worth mentioning here because they are also co-producers on Bayan that we spoke about on the channel as well. I think it's neat that this small studio is at TIFF with 2 features. So Vimukt opens at dawn as a tiny, unremarkable village is waking up. Cinematographer Shaili Sharma's patient but inquisitive camera lingers on banal moments just long enough to make them feel almost sacred. A man is seen milking a cow. A woman is seen returning from her morning ablutions. Her bangles are clinking under her ghungat. Her body is covered. Her presence is only felt by the bangles, making her audible so as to tell people that here goes a woman who's promised to a man. Like the cow, the man is milking with the bell around its neck, useful for nurturing, locked away the rest of the day. So there's very carefully observed precision in this opening sequence, which I really loved. Very attentive to the rhythms of this morning in this village at this house. Zooming in, you meet this couple's son. His name is Naran. He's a young adult with an unspecified mental disability. Not to much surprise, most people in this village treat Naran with cruelty and with disdain. The father, Jasrath, remains largely absent. He's consumed by guilt, but also by grueling labor at this brick kiln he works at to make ends meet. Overworked and dehumanized at his exploitative job, Jasrath, who's actually a musician, is fast losing whatever faith he has left. You know, the boundary between realism and festival-ready independent cinema is often very porous for young filmmakers with a point to make, especially when these films are set in territories that are familiar to the filmmakers where they grew up. You know, it was true for Rohan Kanavade with Cactus Pears at Sundance, for Karan Tejpal with Stolen at Venice, for Jayan Digamar Somarkar with Sthar, that also premiered at TIFF, and now for Jitan Gurjar with Vimukt. The filmmaker's upbringing in Gwalior enables him to paint a very authentic landscape and then cast his film so carefully, so genuinely, giving it a most effective verite flavor. So he tells you to settle in with the slow pace of life, and he tells you that you can trust what you see. And then he begins to ask the devastating moral question at the center of the film that he wants to get at. How does one go?
अब को मूड फोड़ देगा तो तुम क्या कर लोगे?
अब मुंह से नहीं है पाए हो।
कुंभ चलते हैं। एक बार और जोर लगा लेते हैं।
The premise of this film is similar to Tamil filmmaker Madhumita's Kalidhar Lapata, which was a Hindi language remake of her own film KD. Kalidhar released earlier this year. A family plans to go to the Maha Kumbh with a specially abled family member, considering in very dark moments if they should just abandon them there. In Vimukt, however, the cruelty of this decision is sharper and it is more biting because the film is not concerned with anything else but the inhumanity of this decision, what leads to this point, making the neon colors of this mela, ginormous mela, look almost vulgar as they shine brightly and cheerfully, and lives are changed. Despite the observational richness, though, Vimukt falters in pacing and basic storytelling. Some scenes stretch unnecessarily, build-ups go on forever, and the climax extends so long that the emotional potency that it had achieved is nearly all diluted. Writing by Pooja Sharma in parts seems to be performing good indie cinema, hitting its beats without further argument. There are occasional shots of passerbys at the Maha Kumbh who look straight into the camera, which exposes the film's limits, the limits of the shooting style, breaking a very carefully maintained fourth wall that they had established in those beautiful sequences at the village. The performers do hold the film afloat when it runs out of things to say. Nikhil Yadav, Meghna Agarwal, and Raghavendra Bhadoria as Naran, Vidya and Jasrath, respectively, are fantastic. In its final moments, the film also attempts very haphazardly to brush against transcendence, asking its audience to think on their own what their definitions of renunciation and freedom might be, which is all well and good if only the film itself wasn't so frustratingly unsure. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, Vimukt is चारों फिल्में जो महाकुंभ वाली हैं, मुझे तो पता है इस साल 2 देखी हुई हैं, 2 के नाम पता है. आप बताओ comments में if you know of any more films, if you've heard of any. More reviews and interviews are incoming from the Toronto Film Festival. My name is Sucharita. Subscribe to the channel and stick around.